So this is one of the problems with having a spa. The pumps, well, this is a cheap spa. I actually got it at quite a deal. I think I paid 4,500 Australian for a brand new spa. It was floor stock, so the colour's not what I would have chosen, but empty at the moment. I've had it for about 5 years, I think. But I've already had to replace this pump. I've had to do the bearings in it a couple of times, and seals, and yeah, just all the corrosion and everything on it got too much. And they're just like a aluminium housing, and as you can see, all this kind of salt and corrosion and all this that gets on it. It had corroded in one of the bolts and it snapped off inside, but instead of being threaded into here, of course these bolts hold the whole thing together, so it broke the plastic housing, and basically to buy all the parts to repair it it ended up being cheaper to buy a new pump, so bought a new pump. Now unfortunately both of these bigger pumps, this is the first time I've had a problem with these ones, but the bearings have gone in both of these. So there's one here which is easy to get to, then there's one, if you can see it, in there we go, in there, which means I've got to climb down in behind there and get that one out, so that's going to be fun. But I have to pull these out, check, find out what bearings I need, so I'll probably only pull this one out today, which I'm not really getting a video, but order new seals and put new bearings in. So I got the corroded thing apart, off, so I'll start dismantling. Dismantling, it's fairly straightforward. Just undo all the screws, take the front of the wet end off, crunchy, and clean off as much corrosion as you can. Take the rear cap off, try and pull or use a screwdriver on the back of the shaft to hold the shaft still, unscrew the impeller. Oh dear. Ooh. That wasn't good. Yep, sheared. So that pump's. I had to use a bearing puller to pull off the back fan and bearing, and just tap the front bearing out because I'm not worried about the seal because it's stuffed already. Well, with much drilling, banging, swearing, cursing, I managed to get it apart. It actually came out of the brass insert really easily, so housing's fine. Have a look at the corrosion, etc. that's in there. She's not a real overly happy chappy, but I'll clean that up, and so far it appears to be repairable. So we'll go from there, shall we? And again, just using a bearing puller to pull the rear bearing off. Okay, slip the bearing on as far as I can. Just sit it in the vise so it's resting on the inner ring. Okay, I'm going to leave the old rear bearing because it feels fine, and this bearing will probably outlast the motor, so I used a steel brush to clean off as much corrosion on the inside as I could. I also had to heat the front flange a bit to get it to expand for it to just drop over the front bearing. The mechanical seals I had a little bit of trouble getting in, and I had to spray them with some lubricant and kind of work the seal in, the rubber in around the edge with a screwdriver. You've got to be very careful of the actual lapped surfaces on the front, because they're very, very, very flat and precise, and you don't want to scratch them or score them in any way. So use a nice clean wooden dowel or something if you need to. Where I was tapping then, I was only tapping on the metal section that supports the base of the inner seal. Proper stainless steel studs, so if it corrodes up again, I can leave the stud in the front and pull it all off the back. So that's how they should have been in the first place. So I only used the studs on the bottom to replace the bottom two bolts, because they're the only ones that are really exposed to any water and corrosion and that kind of stuff. So now I did have a bit of a bozo on the second pump and actually bent the threaded section on the front shaft, and I'm going to release another short video on a repair on that. Trying to put everything even spins alright. Time to put the old girl back together and do it all again. So I'm the home distiller. Please like, comment and subscribe to see the next video of me repairing that bent shaft. Nothing like a bend in your shaft.